Welcome back to Vampyr. We just arrived in the docks. Not in the docks, in the sewers. And I have to say, I just played Strange Brigade a bit. And it's funny. It's like a bit like a Uncharted, bad version of Uncharted, and a cheap version of Uncharted, but still fun, and you can play with up to 4 people in cooperative. But you could make the sensitivity of the X and Y axis very high, which I usually do, and here you can't do it. This plays a bit like it's a bit of a slow motion feeling, you know. But fuck that, just checking out the area. Yeah.
Eternal gratitude for your protection, Master.
Some skals. It's like a small city underground where the skals live. Some skals that are not totally aggressive like the ones we encountered so far, mostly. They just keep to themselves.
Has stalked us for ages upon ages.
Your place is not here. We're at your mercy. Will you end us? Oh, Bridget allowed me to wander above some years back. Keep your distance, Echo. We're at your mercy. Will you end us?
Eternal gratitude for your protection, Master. Old Bridget says you are one to trust.
Keep your distance, Echo. How is London? I've not seen beyond these walls in such a long time.
I use pistol, it means... What? Ah, I already upgraded. Okay, never mind. It's already level 2. Why do you need a fucking handle part to upgrade a fucking stick? Doesn't make any sense.
Are you all right, sir? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question. Don't you know this is a quarantine zone?
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm investigating the epidemic. You had better get to a safe place while you still can.
Oh, really? Well, go investigate somewhere else and leave me be.
I beg your pardon?
I said go. Leave me alone, sir.
Rodney, you're the man who killed that gang member, are you not? Is that why you are hiding in this godforsaken place?
Yes, I did. I did not even know his name.
Then why did you kill him?
That arsehole always mocked me for the color of my skin. Usually I let it go. But not that night. We fought. He died.
Unfortunately, I have met several murderers during my lifetime. You don't look like them. I can tell you're no cold-blooded killer.
You're right, sir. At first it was just a simple argument between us. But the man had a bad fall.
Believe me, Rodney, you won't survive here long. No matter what you did, you must go back to where you used to live.
I'll go back to the docks then. But if I die, remember that the blood of Rodney Grader will be on your hands. I'll go back to the dock.
It's locked, all right.
Eternal gratitude for your protection, Master.
The vampire hunters will never find us here. We're at your mercy. Will you end us?
Let me rest now.
It's locked, all right.
Welcome back, Dr. Reed. Would you like to take communion with me now?
Sean, are you eating raw flesh?
It is the sacred flesh of the mortal lamb. Our Lord's bountiful transmutation for the sustenance of his believers. Thank you, Lord. I am your most humble servant.
So, true to your word, you waited for my return.
I told you, Dr. Reed, I was a man to be trusted. Did you have words with the poor Harriet?
You make no distinction between the living and the skals, do you?
We are God's children, Dr. Reed. One and all. And he's determined to save us.
Does this place belong to you? How can you be so certain you can keep it open?
This warehouse was once property of the Dawson family, but has been bequeathed me through donation.
The Dawsons? The wealthiest family in London? Have they a clue as to what goes on here?
Not at all. The donation was made before the war. The building was run down. I never met Aloysius Dawson myself.
So you have the run of the place and no one's taken notice?
As long as we keep to ourselves, we interest no one. This is a haven, and I pray it remains so for eons to come.
What will be the result if you continue to assist both skals and the living?
For the last decade, that's what's been happening. And they found a better life. What's to change?
You're forgetting the epidemic. Things can go south very quickly. I've seen it.
Oh, these are terrible times. Only those pure of heart shall prevail.
You've turned skal now. Don't you see the danger to anyone giving you their trust?
We are all sinners, awaiting salvation. This is a simple truth, ordained by the Lord Almighty. I am a seeker of his glorious light.
Harriet, Miss Jones, has been behaving in a most violent manner. She's going to need special attention.
That's precisely the reason I brought her here. To meet old Bridget. She's the guide Harriet requires.
Who is this old Bridget?
I don't know, Doctor. She rarely speaks of her past, but I know she has a long one. She's likely the oldest soul in the city.
Harriet is possessed by her hatred. You cannot let her roam free. She's dangerous.
She has joined her own kind, Doctor. Old Bridget is a saint to the younger skals, guiding them to salvation and peaceful existence.
I believe I've learned all I need to know. I'm certain you've killed no one, but one day I believe you'll cross the line.
Logic is a false prophet. Faith is the only path to salvation.
What do you mean?
We have been blessed with God's eternity. We are the instruments of his divine will. We shall feed the hungry forever and ever. Amen.
I will strive to emulate your merciful nature, Sean, but it's a difficult pledge to make.
Give yourself over to God, Doctor. Expel your urges and kneel before the Lord in praise.
These urges. You know the hunger will never be satisfied.
I've come to embrace the everlasting craving. I have sworn to feed only upon the flesh of the dead. It is now my sacrament. Take, eat. This is my body. So saith the Lord.
Discoveries. Vampire blood would enhance your metabolism, perhaps even heal you. If what old Bridget says is true, I'll give you some of mine.
I'd rather not. It would be extremely awkward.
You have no choice, Sean. It's the only way to protect your cheptel, those still amongst the living.
No, Dr. Reed. God made me this way. Who am I to disobey his will?
You believe that God's plan was for you to be abandoned at birth?
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
I can't imagine God intended for you to be molested by a priest in an orphanage. Drink, friend.
No!
I said kneel and drink. Now! It's locked. Another corpse thrown in the streets. Someone's playing a very sick game.
Vampire Hunter Dudes, yeah.
Glad to see you again, Mr. Reed.
Lottie, tell me about the Wet Boot Boys. I know they've threatened you.
Edwina Cox wanted me to provide her with information about Mr. Hampton's resources. I refused.
Is that not dangerous?
Fuck them and their lies. They claim they protect the interests of the neighborhood, but they are just greedy parasites like all the rest.
I understand your fight, but the gangs are no joke. Are you sure you're safe?
I can defend myself. My only concern is about Giselle. I'm not sure my sister is able to fight anymore.
Lottie, tell me about the death of your mother.
Giselle killed her. Plain and simple. She killed her with her daily whims, her laziness and her complaints.
That's quite a statement. You can't kill someone because you're fickle.
Mother was very ill, but I forgave Giselle. What I couldn't stand was how she cried at her funeral like she was the one left alone.
Giselle is the only family you have left. Don't you think it's time you forgave her?
Sometimes words are harder to forgive than acts, Dr. Reed.
Perhaps your sister is not as tough as you are.
I know that, and I don't blame her. It just makes me sad that my own sister is the person I understand the least.
Did you see what happened?
No. I was coming back to the shelter from work when I heard an awful scream, and there was this man, dead, just in front of the building.
You saw nothing at all?
No. I told you, just that awful woman's scream.
A woman's scream? Are you sure?
Of course. It was terrifying. I thought it was my sister, so I ran. But it was a man I've never seen round here before.
Well, we heard the scream as well.
Goodbye, Miss Paxton. I know this brooch. This is my mother's. A birthday gift from father. "29 Pretty Orchard Street." That's near Poplar's district. Why would this man carry off my mother's brooch? I must go there.
So it rather looks like a trap. Someone laid the brooch there to lure us there. It's my... Alright, that's what I think. Too much of a coincidence, otherwise, that he has the brooch.
You again? What do you want?
Giselle, I know you sleep at Shaunhampton's shelter. What can you tell me about him?
He provided a roof for me and my sister. I am grateful, of course, but he gives me the creeps.
Why is that?
He's always sad, like he's about to cry. He's always asking us to get closer to God, to give ourselves to the Lord. Creepy.
Giselle, tell me about the death of your mother.
After our father died, Mother worked so hard she made herself sick. We spent all the money we had on useless drugs and doctors. It was hell.
Hell? What do you mean?
The three of us were exhausted and desperate. And when I'm desperate, I tend to get angry. And I'm hard to live with. Lottie said I killed Mother.
You should talk to your sister. Whatever happened when your mother died, the truth lies somewhere between your two versions.
I don't want to talk about that. It was years ago. We Paxton sisters are tough. We don't apologize.
Did you see what just happened?
No, I didn't. And I don't care.
Really? Why is that?
Because this sexist pig is one of the 4 men who blacklisted me. Good riddance, if you ask me.
Well, I'll leave you for... Good evening, Mr. Throgmorton.
Dr. Reed, can I be of any assistance? Have you noticed anything suspicious lately?
Did you see what happened to him?
Actually, yes. He was thrown from the roof like a vulgar log.
Who could have done that?
Who? Well, a vampire, of course. Look, bite marks on the neck and lacerations here. There is definitely a vampire close by.
Why is it that you sound so afraid?
You didn't see it. He was dead before he hit the ground. The strength required to do such a thing, well, it beggars belief.
Goodbye.
I'd head back if I were you, son. Shut! Step away!
This could be the public house Giselle Paxton mentioned. I should investigate further.
Trust the leech, boys! Pay for this! Fuck, he's dead!
Giselle's stolen money. Priwen has some unethical ways of financing their war.
Best be moving on.
You again? What do you want?
I've identified the men who stole from you. You were right. They were members of some self-proclaimed militia.
I knew it! Did you find the money, too?
Yes, here it is. They thought they could finance their activities with it.
I never thought a man like you would be kind enough to... I misjudged you. Badly. Well... Thank you, sir.
Will you give the money back to your comrades, then?
Fuck those bastards who fired me. I'll give the money to Miss Gillingham. Her son Jack was a friend of mine. He was killed recently.
I know you were friends with Miss Gillingham's son, Jack. Tell me about his death.
Jack's murder has been a shock to the neighborhood. A sign that the situation is now out of control.
Why is that?
There has always been tension between the Wet Boot Boys and members of the trade union. But a murder? That's a first.
Who killed him?
No one will ever know. One thing is certain. While Jack was alive, I had one less reason to drink.
Why does that upset you so much?
I wish I had found the time and words to tell him how important he was to me before it was too late. Another failure for Giselle Paxton.
Yeah, it's always the same with the women. They say maybe later, maybe sometime, or they say nothing. And sometimes they realize what they could have had when it is too late.
Well, I'll leave you for now. Goodbye, Miss Paxton.
Glad to...
Goodbye, Miss Paxton. Good evening, Mr.
Dr.
You've never faced, let alone killed, a vampire Ichabod. You're a fraud.
No, I'm not. I may embellish the truth concerning my achievements, but I'm totally dedicated to my quest.
Stop fooling yourself. You've never faced a vampire before. You wouldn't stand a chance.
Well, that's not true, sir. I've already faced one of these creatures.
Oh, really? And you're still alive.
Well, we did not actually fight. I let it go.
What do you mean?
I entered the vampire's den. The stench was terrible. I was ready to kill it. But then I saw it. Just a suffering soul like you and me. I spared her.
Tell me about the vampire you spared.
It was... She was a girl. Her body was a mess. I could see pus running from the deep wound. She was crying in pain.
You cared about her. That's what defines us as human, Ichabod.
Yes, but she was a truly evil creature. I'm haunted by the tragedies she caused ever since I spared her.
Goodbye.
Now that you finally have mesmerized level 3, we can at last make the side mission of this son of a bitch.
It's a leech! Kill it! Best stay back. Leech spotted! Watch out!
29 Pretty Orchard Street. This is it. What's in there for me? There's been a fight here. This window was shattered with violent force. Someone's been pulled through it and dragged through the street. Who could have done that? Where does this blood trail lead? It's locked. Hello again.
Good evening, Doc.
Goodbye. Good evening. Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher.
Another night with the glorious battalion of Pembroke.
It is good to see you again, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm better than one might expect, Lady Ashbury. Dr. Swansea has asked me to investigate the recent disturbances in the hospital, caused by skals.
Really? What do you mean?
I discovered the most intriguing skal. An elderly woman answering to the name of Old Bridget, and a man who helps them remain hidden in London.
Old Bridget? Peculiar name, I've never heard of her.
According to Old Bridget, skals can lead a peaceful existence like us. They are even able to nourish themselves by feeding on corpses and the flesh of the dead.
How vile. Please, Jonathan, let's change the subject.
Skals of London have gone into hiding. Both mortals and immortals plot their extermination.
Yes. Skals are the orphans of the Vampire Society. They are the shame of their genitors. A disgrace to the vampire that created them.
There is something ominous closing around me, Lady Ashbury. Something spies upon me from the shadows. Something cruel and wicked.
Whatever do you mean, Jonathan?
Do you suspect someone?
I don't know, Jonathan. I steer clear of vampire politics, especially whilst hunters roam the city's streets.
If Sean Hampton and Harriet were not the guilty parties, then who? I saw the bodies and the blood.
Your rebirth has not gone unnoticed, Jonathan. Be extremely careful. If you get in the way of an immortal's plans...
Goodbye for now, my lady.
Yes, Jonathan?
I'm better than...
Really? What do you mean?
Goodbye.
Jonathan, at last. I've been worried sick. Have you solved the case of our poor Sean Hampton?
Don't worry, Edgar. The reputation of Pembroke Hospital is secure. Sean Hampton was not the guilty party.
Is that true? Oh, good news. Good news indeed.
I found Harriet Jones. She's much the same old, embittered woman she was, only she's been made a skal. Her transformation did not go well.
Incredible. Why not bring her here? We could learn so much by studying her condition. It would be fascinating.
I doubt that. She can barely move. Perhaps we could learn more about the degeneration of skals.
Perhaps. But she could also belong to a new species. We know so little of the laws that dictate vampire reproduction.
Were there any studies made by your order on the subject?
Not that I'm aware of. I will transmit your discovery to the Brotherhood's primate. He will be delighted.
Does the name Old Bridget ring any bells?
I've never heard of her. Why? A patient of ours? I must confess, I don't know them all.
No, it's just someone I recently met. A fascinating woman. I had thought that perhaps...
By the stole, Jonathan, you've met another vampire. I would appreciate an introduction, if that's the case.
What do you know of the Ascalon Club?
Not as much as I would like. There have always been rumors about a secret society of vampires operating in the interests of the British Empire, though I've never met a member.
Do you think Lady Ashbury would know of them?
Jonathan, our beloved lady is not one for social dalliances, nor the assemblies of dark orders. She's a woman of superior taste and selective acquaintance.
I crossed paths with one. A terrifying creature going by the name of Fergal. He was sent by the Ascalon Club to exterminate the skals of the East End.
By the stole, Jonathan. If vampires are eliminating their own progeny, then dark times are upon us. Darker than I've ever witnessed.
A pleasure as always, Edgar.
Yes, John?
I'm better.
Really?
Goodbye.
The Pembroke is so lucky to have Dr. Reed, you know. I met him in New York.
Time to finish this sucker off, yes. Been there long enough.
I'm sure Albert would like to know he's been accepted by the Wet Boot Boys.